Hey friends, welcome back to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. As we are getting close to the summer garden winding down, or maybe yours already has, you may be thinking that your gardening season is over for this year. But I want to share with you today why fall gardening can actually be really, really fun and a lot less stressful for you. And I'm also going to share with you 6 different reasons why I love gardening in the fall. So let's go ahead and get started.
Hi friend, do you dream of having a garden but you don't know where to start? Do you want to switch to more natural products but feel overwhelmed by all the options? Do you believe that a holistic lifestyle would help your special needs kiddo but you're daunted by all the information out there? Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast, where you will learn how to work towards your dream for homesteading, gardening, and holistic living in small, simple steps that won't overwhelm you. Hi, I'm Ashley. I'm a wife, Jesus follower, and mom to some amazing kids. As some of my kids began experiencing health struggles and developmental delays, I decided it was time to switch to a holistic lifestyle. I quickly became stressed out and burnt out, feeling like I needed to change everything at once. I finally realized that I had to start making one small change at a time, then build from there. I learned to walk this holistic journey in a way that works for me and my family, without stress or overwhelm or constantly feeling like I wasn't doing enough. If you're ready to hear from another mama who understands what it's like to have no time and who can help you make changes towards better health for your family in a way that works for your specific life, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in your earbuds, reheat your coffee for the 3rd time, and let's do this.
So if you are like me and you love gardening, then you know that while gardening is such a joy, a lot of times by the time August hits, you are just burnt out. Like, you're over the gardening, everything can just die. That's how I feel often. And a lot of that I find is actually because of the heat. Like, we're battling pests, it's hot outside, it's miserable. We're really just kind of fighting to keep our plants alive. Of course, this is going to vary depending on your growing zone, but often the sentiment is by the time August rolls around, you just feel done. So now I'm encouraging you, okay, instead of saying I'm done, let's actually start up another garden. And that can feel like, no, thank you. But I think if you just hear me out, you can actually understand why I'm encouraging you to maybe take a little bit of a break. You could, if you haven't started seeds inside or anything like that, then take a short period of time to rest and recoup, and then get back in it for the fall, just because there are so many benefits. The first one being that the temperature typically in the fall is going to be a lot cooler. Now, you're going to have to look at your first frost date for the year as we're talking about all of that. Keep this in mind. Keep in mind what growing zone you are in. But more often than not, you can at least grow some things in the fall, even if these are different types of crops that are cold hardy, and we're going to talk about that in a different podcast episode. But for today only, we're going to focus on the benefits of growing in the fall. So number 1 is the temperatures are cooler. It's a lot more enjoyable. You're not having to battle the sweltering heat. It's not miserable. I just find that whenever you can go out in the garden on a nice cooler fall day, it just is a really, really enjoyable experience, in my opinion. Number 2 is there's typically less work. Now, if you're feeling burnt out from the summer, spring garden, then in my opinion, gardening in the fall when there is less work is a great way to continue to get a harvest, but also feel like you're getting a little bit of a break. The reasons why typically there would be less work for a fall garden is because you often have more rain, whereas in the summer it's typically drier, and you're going to have cooler temps, which means that the soil is not going to dry out as much, and you're not going to have to water as frequently. Oftentimes, number 3, which would be, I got ahead of myself. Number 3 is that often because of this, there can be less weeding. So plants are starting to die off. The weeds are starting to slow down in their growth as well. So you're oftentimes going to have less that you need to weed. Now, if you're looking at like in-ground beds, even some kind of raised beds, having less time to water, less time to weed is going to be a great way to really lower the amount of time commitment and stress that you have in your fall garden. Number 4 is that there are oftentimes less pests. So all in all these things that we feel like are draining us and taking up so much of our time during the spring and summer garden, we notice that typically in the fall, there are going to be less of these. Less pests, so more than likely, you are going to also get a better harvest because it's not being stressed out by the pests that are there on the different types of plants. And I find this is especially true if you're trying to do more of like an organic gardening method, just because depending on the variety of pests we're talking about, their life cycle is either slowing down or ending by the fall. So you're just not going to battle those as much. And when you're not using some kind of a chemical spray just to kill everything off, then you're really going to notice the difference in not having to battle as many pests when you are doing that organic garden. And then, like I said, you're also going to get more of a harvest from that. So in my opinion, it's less work with a good harvest, potentially even a better harvest. And I really just love being able to maximize on both of those things during the fall. Number 5 is that your plants are going to be less stressed out as well because they're not in extreme heat or in drought or anything like that. They're getting more of a steady temperature with typically some more rain. So they're getting watered more steadily, and also they have less pest pressure as well. So overall, it's just going to create less stress on your plants, which means less management for you. And also you're going to have healthier plants that are going to produce more. And number 6 is that actually there are a lot of plants that grow better in the cooler temps anyways. And I am going to share, like I said, some of those, what I'm growing in the fall, what is and isn't cold hardy. I will share that in a later episode, but some things that I'm thinking of are things like kale, carrots, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and often things like cilantro and various greens that just do not do well in the summer heat. Those are going to be great to grow during the fall. And oftentimes, for me, it's very hard. Whenever I plant cilantro in the spring, oftentimes it turns hot so quickly that it goes to seed before I can get much of a harvest. So being able to plant another round of it in the fall can be very, very beneficial. I'm also thinking of the same with sweet peas, sugar snap peas specifically. That's what we like to eat. Often I will get a small harvest in the spring, but then being able to plant more in the fall just gives us another time to enjoy those, because we really enjoy eating sugar snap peas fresh. So I don't typically freeze them. So it's just something that if I can grow it twice to enjoy it. And again, if I'm doing it with less work, then it's a win in my book. So those are 6 different reasons why I think growing a fall garden is very, very beneficial and why I enjoy growing a fall garden. I would love to hear from you if you have anything else that you would add to this list. You can find us over in our free Facebook community and join us there. It's at bit.ly/motherhood community. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back next time.
Hey Mama, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds to share this with a friend who is wanting to live more holistically without the overwhelm? Also, don't forget to head over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. It blesses and encourages me to know that this show is helping you. All right, friends, it's time for me to go work in the garden and make some homemade bone broth. I will see you back next week.